Hello everybody and welcome back to RSL Tier 1. We are here in Great Britain for the United Kingdom, or the British Grand Prix, here in the track of Silverstone. We are going to ride on board here with two Magnus for our first lap of the session. The Tier 3 driver who stepped up many times before is going to step up again. Crucially, the big news is, of course, that and he's invalidated already, so we're going to have to move on then to Jinx. So the big news, of course, is SJR has left the league and has a potential to win the championship today. It seemed like it was wrapped up in Monaco, but it could be wrapped up well and truly 100% today, with the following finishes. So finishing in P7 and Ajdox to not score results in a championship win. Finishing P6 and Ajdox finishes P9 or lower means Quattro will win. P5 and Ajdox P8 or lower. P4 and Ajdox P7 or lower. And then P3 and Ajdox, I think, P6 or lower. P2 and Ajdox P4 or lower, and then a win will win the championship. So that is what Quattro has to do today. So Jinx has also invalidated his time. Back 2 has picked the wrong car, which is just brilliant. But we're gonna see. So we have back 2 is joined. Who is the other person that needed to join? JRR is joined. He's picked up Alfa Romeo. So we'll edit that later on, but as we see the first time go in, as I'm missing a few here, it's SLR Quattro to go to the top of the time sheets with a 1:27.6. RX Paolo a bit close behind, Ozone just a little bit further than that. VTR Cunio only starting a lap as Douglas comes to start his lap. Marshy comes to the end of his first run. We had Owen Curry there across the line, 1:28.3, and Marshy with a 1:29.6. Next across the line we switch all the way down to Kofi. He has invalidated. So next I think we switch to a rare drive from Techno Sizzle, who set a 1:04.3, a very, very decent middle sector indeed. It's his second run though, because he has lost a lot of ERS and he's heading now down towards the Vale chicane, and we'll see what he can do as he goes through the chicane now. He has CES Eric close behind, but Techno Sizzle is going to go into the top 4. Good chance for AlphaTauri to possibly put a good stand on the constructors as well. Eric is only starting his lap, so he's going a little bit slower, as Quattro has leapt by the Alfa Romeo of 2 Magnus, who had also invalidated anyway. Rayan is on a lap, a 1:03.8 is a really quick middle sector indeed, still hunting down that first win here in RSL. Himself and Jinx have come very close, but yet so far away. He is currently sitting, I think, P5 in the overall championship, as Rayan comes round the final corner and goes P2. Next across the line, VTR Cunio. He is quite slow in the middle sector with only a 1:05.4, as he comes to the line now. It's only going to be enough for P7 so far. Douglas, he is on it, and he is on it to the line with a P4 time. A good finish. A good finish there from him, as that is Ozone, I think, trying to improve his time, or maybe just going again. We'll see now. Kofi, he had also invalidated. He's into the pits. 2 Ferraris are going it on the back straight, but both have invalidated their laps. CES Eric, who is 15 seconds up, has invalidated his time. Techno Sizzle is on an in lap, and behind them, I think, is Jinx. Behind them after that, Ajdox also on an out lap. Behind him is a Williams, and it's the Williams of Rayan. Ozone Yo is on a lap, and he is a second up, or a 10th up I should say at the moment, as he heads through the middle sector. So we'll keep it on board with Ozone Yo because no one else is coming to the line with a lap. Okay, so Adstock's the only kind of championship contender at the moment, won the final last race in Mexico, and he's going to come to the line here with a solid 128 flat. Jinx has gone quickest of all there, just by a tenth ahead of SLR Quattro. He could be a real standing player in that battle for the championship soon, as it looks like one of the Alfa Romeos of two, Magnus, is finally going to get his first lap. No, he's only starting his. So Ozone Yo is into the pits, and we have a Red Bull of Marchi only warming up his tyres, and we have I think is that Kofi on a flying lap, or no, only on an out lap. A lot of people only on that kind of transitional period at the moment. Trying to find a driver at the moment is on a lap, but I don't think anyone is. Alex Paolo, I'm pretty sure, is. We're right on board with him. Actually, I think we just have to give someone an invite here, quickly. So Alex Paolo, who comes to the end of his sector 2, is 2/10 up, so he could be on for a really good time here, possibly get up into the top 3, round about where his teammate is. He's had a very, very unlucky run of things, Paolo, and he's going to have that continue as he invalidates there. We see an Aston Martin come to the end of a lap, or maybe just starting one, to Magnus. Has invalidated another one of his flying laps, and behind him he has Douglas, who is only heating up the tyres, and then we have Marshy, who's a 10th up on his time. Still a long, long way away from Techno Sizzle. You can really see that gap between Tier 3 and Tier 2 drivers, but Marshy, he knows he has pace in him, and we can see now as he comes through the final corners how much extra pace he has. Could have had a podium here before in Tier 1, and he's going to come to the line here with an invalid lap because he's gone wide on the final corner. Kofi coming to the end of his lap to go P7. Behind him, SLR Quattro. Ooh, he's gone off there. I think it was Techno Sizzle who was actually crossing the line. There's a Ferrari behind him of back 2. He's only starting a lap. As are most drivers. There's a bit of traffic being held up here. And VTR Cunio's gone through. He's a second up in his time, showing some good pace here. Little snap of oversteer as he comes out of Stowe, but seems to be all going well for the Aston Martin driver, who comes to the end of his lap. And can he improve by enough to get himself into the top 10? Just misses out by less than a tenth, so there's still time to improve there. We have Quattro coming to the end of his lap that he is invalidated. We have Owen Curry, who is also, I think, only on an out lap. And we have Eric, who is 16 seconds up, so that's showing that he may have had problems. He might not have problems here as he comes to the end of his lap. Obviously finished second in the race in Mexico, and he's going to cross the line here, and he's going to put his car up into 7th, so not a bad lap there. So next is Douglas, and he is also up on his time. And is he going to be up enough to shoot himself a bit further? Won the practice race on Saturday. Is he going to win the real race, or at least start a bit higher? He is. He's going to go up into P5. Little bit of traffic going on up here, and I think it's Techno Sizzle who's carried on with 3/10 up on his time and goes up into P7. So next we have 2 Magnus finally going to set a lap, and it's only a 1:30 flat. Ozone Yo, is he going to improve? To the line he goes, only slightly, and back 2 is back into the pits. So JRR is also about to set his first lap. Hasn't been a quite convincing qualifying session, but we'll see. We'll see whether or not he gets to the line or not. He will, and he'll get to the line in P8, so not a bad lap there. Next across the line we have Oven Curry, but he has invalidated. Everyone's kind of in that crossover period before going in for the final runs, so just taking their time. Douglas is 2 seconds down. He's not going very fast. He's not even switching into 7th gear at the moment, or into 8th gear. So we'll keep an eye on the pit lane and see what drivers are making way. So there's an Aston Martin making way, there's a few cars making way, and Archdox is one of them, and he's on a lap. So this could be the end of what is technically now a championship contender, considering there's only him, and I think Jinx is the other one. So it is going to be interesting to see. I think if Jinx can score higher than Quattro, then he has done enough to stay in the championship as well. Archdox has invalidated his lap there, so we'll see whether or not he can get out and in time. We have Ozone Yo, who is also on a lap. He is 3/10 up, so possibly a chance to at least jump ahead of 2 Magnus. We'll see what he can do in the final sector, whether or not he can get himself up into maybe the top 13 or 14. CES Eric has retired coming out of the first corner, so P10 at best for him. Ozone Yo is going to come to the line. He is going to jump ahead of 2 Magnus and go up into P15. So VTR Cunho is coming to the end of his outlap, right on board with who is currently our pole sitter, Jinx. He's always said he wants to have a lap that he's riding on board with all the time. So he is going to be the second person to set his final flying lap. And as he comes out of Stowe into the Vale chicane now, we'll see what Jinx has to offer. He comes out of final corner, and Jinx is going to start his final flying lap. Now, will he improve? Will he be able to extend his advantage on pole? It's going to be an absolute miracle if he somehow gets himself back into this championship fight, because Quattro is right behind, and we know that he will come, and he will come fast. and he is coming out of Stowe now. I think that's him anyway. He's going to start his final lap, but we'll keep an eye on the driver we're at the moment, Jinx, who's only been able to just barely disimprove on his time with a 300th down. Ajdox has came into the pits and retired, so that's him finished from qualifying. As Jinx now comes out of Mags and Beckett's, and now he is a 10th up, so this could be a really good time indeed now from Jinx as he comes out of Stowe, and he's going to head towards the Vale chicane. It's been a mighty lap so far. He hopes that he doesn't disimprove anymore. He's going to come out of the final corner, and Jinx 123 is going to set the fastest lap 2/10 quicker as Rayan improves ahead of SLR Quattro. But looking at Quattro here, he is definitely going a lot quicker than the rest of them. I'll keep an eye also just on, I think that's Kofi, who's a 10th down, but he's still pushing hard, hoping to improve in his time. He's gone wide, he's invalidated, so it's all on SLR Quattro. Can the championship leader take pole position away from the Mercedes? He's a lot to improve on as he comes out of Vale chicane now. SLR Quattro to the line he goes now, and it's not going to be pole position. He just misses out. A great lap, but just not enough. So we watch another Williams. Paolo, he's invalidated Owen Curry. He is 5/10 up in his time. This could be a magical lap. He goes P4, a great lap there. As we see Techno Sizzle ahead of Rando. Oh, that's Ozone spinning. Rando, he's going to go up into P6. VTR Cunyo, he is just barely down on his time, but coming out of the final corner, he is going to stay down on his time, and that's going to be it for qualifying. A great ending, which has put Quattro back up into P2 and so close from pole, but it's going to be Jinx's second pole position of the season as he takes home a pole start. He's going to start first place for the race with SLR Quattro right behind, and then it comes Rayan, then Douglas, Oven Curry, Rando. Ajdox is quite far behind, which means it's all going well for Quattro so far. Techno Sizzle doing fairly well in the AlphaTauri. JRR in 9th, Paolo 10th, Eric in 11th, Kofi 12th, back to 13th, and then we'll see the rest of the grid once we get back. So Jinx is on pole, Quattro P2, Rayan P3, Douglas starts 4th with Oven Curry in 5th, Rando 6th, Ajdox 7th, Techno Sizzle 8th, JRR 9th, Paolo in 10th. We have Eric in 11th and Kofi only enough for 12th. Back to 13th, Cunyo in 14th. Marshy promised a tier 3 win, is only going to start P15 in tier 1. Ozone 16th, 2 Magnus 17th. Quattro unable to set a lap in P18, and his teammate Griffin disqualified early on, starting rock bottom. So couldn't get the 20th driver in, but we're still going to have 19 here for this race. I'm going to see, I don't think there was any grid penalties handed out, so I think it's all just how qualifying panned out, and we hope that it's not going to be the same Silverstone like it was in real life, but we'll find out about that now soon in the next 2 minutes or so. There's all the cars lined up on the grid. We'll get the display up. So it looks like to me that mediums are the preferred strategy, apart for 4 drivers. Rayan, Jinx, JRR and Alex Paulo have all gone for the hard compound tyres. The rest on the mediums. So it's an interesting way to start the race, and we'll see how that plans out for them. So Jinx has had a poor start there, and he's JRR or Quattro and Rayan have both got ahead of him. So I don't know if he's going to stay back here or he's going to let Quattro take the lead. Quattro knows how to lead a formation lap anyway. We have Griffin, or I think that's Quattro, quite far behind. He hasn't quite had the start he would have wanted, retiring in the last race, and he's going to hope that maybe he can do a little bit better than last time. Oh, and that's LOI Griffin gone flying off, and he's going to drop back to last place where he originally was. So Jinx has got back ahead of Rayan and Quattro. He's up into first. We'll see now whether he'll keep first going into the first corner. My predictions for the race, I'm going to have to go for another win for Quattro. So I think that he will win this race. I do think Jinx will have a solid race, and I still think he will finish second. And I'm going to go for Oven Curry in P3. Solid qualifying, got quite unlucky at times, but he got himself into P5 with his final run. And I think it will be a home podium for the man from England. We'll see whether he can make the British fans happy here today. But it's going to be Jinx who's going to lead us away from pole for now. We'll see if the commentator's curse is true on Quattro, and whether or not he is. He's gone straight ahead of Jinx there. He wants to get his spot on the grid a little bit earlier than the rest of them. Give them something to worry about, as Jinx, he's spun off completely there out of final corner, and that's may give himself, that's not going to give him any sort of help as far as maybe a little bit of composure, but we'll see now as the cars start to line up on the grid. We're waiting for, I think, a Ferrari there. Yeah, who's going to try and line up. I think that's back 2. Here we go now. 5 red lights for the British Grand Prix. Still have the light glitch, but it's lights out and away we go, and it seems to be an even getaway, but not a great getaway for Rayan, who's end up hitting straight into the back of Jinx. There's a huge crash into turn 1. Jinx and Rayan both out. Quattro does take the lead. It's a huge crash, and so is my other prediction of the podium. Oven Curry is also out, and it's already an early safety car as predicted. Jinx actually managed to stay in the race, but Oven Curry, Rayan and JR all out into turn 1. A huge crash. Jinx gets away poorly, and I think a bit of oversteer meant that he crashed into Rayan, who took the rear wheels, I think, of Oven Curry, and himself, Jinx and JR also all got caught up in not a great start for the hard running tyres, as also Eric's Paulo has dropped many places. But it's a dream start for Douglas and Rando, and also Kofi has got up 12 places up into P4. Back 2 has got up 12 places to P5. I'm Marshy, what a fantastic start from him. He's up into P6. Ozone Yo the same, the Mercedes driver, into P9. Cunyo in up 6 places to 6. Magnus up 8 places to 9th. Techno Sizzle unfortunately drops 2, probably because of his poor tyres, but I'm sure he's happy enough to stay within the points. Quattro up 7 to 11th. And Griffin also up 7 to 12th. But Paulo, CES, Eric, Jinx and Adgedox all got involved, and they are 3 people who definitely don't want to be getting involved in incidents as far as their championship hopes. But it's all going well for Quattro, who got the clean run and is up into the lead of the race. On a time he can win the championship, it's looking... Oh, and Jinx has retired. So he has spun out on lap 1 and doesn't believe he can do anything else in this race. He is retired from the race. So that is not the start for him, and there's my 2 predictions gone. Douglas seemed to have some good pace around here on Saturday. He's now running P2. So it means now that Jinx is out of the championship fight. Lucas Paul's also out because he wasn't racing today. Owen Curry was also in it, he's out. And himself, Paolo and Ajdox both not got off to a great start. They need to do a lot better if they want to continue their fight to at least send it to one more round for Quattro. But he has 24 laps until he can possibly win this race. Jinx is left this session, so we have 4 retirees from lap 1. We have Owen Curry, JRR, Orcha and Jinx. The rest of the guys off to a really good start. Nobody else has also decided to pit. It's kind of just those 4 guys who have got damage have decided to give up on the race, which is not something you'd like to see much, but it's just a factor in the race in general, so what can you do? But as we watch all the cars head past the safety car, I'm going to give my other analysis on what I think my new predictions are. And I'm gonna stick with the Quattro win. He's gonna win the championship with a victory here in Silverstone. I'm gonna go Douglas in P2, and I'm gonna go Paolo P3. I still think he's in a good position with the hards. He's dropped places, but if he can get those hard tyres heated up, and if he can maybe get ahead of a few positions, as someone has fallen here, someone's into the pits. Ajdox is into the pits, so he's going to change his tyres. No one else is, although Griffin I think has spun, so too has Eric, and Paolo had to let him back through. Oh, and back 2 is retired under the safety car. He spun out and hit the wall. What a clown. How on earth has he done that? Well, that's the end of his race, and we now have 5 retirees and only 14 drivers left here. What will possibly be the restart now on lap 3 going into lap 4. It's been a race known for great racing in the front. Obviously, infamously, we have Randro and Lucas Paul and McBot all battling it out at one stage in season 2, and then last time we came here we had Randro and Syke having a great scrap. Who ended up winning that day was Syke. So we'll see now if Douglas can put up any sort of fight with SLR Quattro. The safety car is in this lap, so we'll see whether or not Quattro can lead them away well. So Quattro's gone. He's gone at a great time because he's already good bit ahead of SLR Quattro, and he has got a time to get some dirty air into the back of that car and make sure that he falls just a little bit further away. Down the pack we go. Everything seems to be running cleanly. Ozone looking at a move possibly there at Marshy, who's now up into P4 because Kofi and someone else has dropped places. Kofi's dropped further places as 2 Magnus has gone for a lunge from Minta Village, but Kofi is going to bounce back here. He's going to try it. VTR Cunio also looking at possibly a move on Ozone here as we watch all of them go down the Wellington Straight and head down towards Brooklands as they still all go side by side here. Kofi gets the move done, so too does VTR Cunio up into the top 5. Kofi's going to try and swing it around the outside here, and 2 Magnus has lost the car, so that's going to be him dropping places out of the points. As we watch, Rando is right on the back of Douglas here, yellow-eyed tier 2 driver, the winner in Australia and the winner on track in Miami of last season, is going to hope to get nice and close to Douglas and possibly get ahead. Now as they head down the hangar straight, Douglas is already out of the DRS zone of Quattro. He's going to have to be a lot quicker if he wants to try and overtake him here. Quattro, 4 wins already out of 6 races. He wants to make that 5 out of 7. So Rando is going to head now down towards Vale Chicane. He's going to stay within a close amount. VTR Cunio is making up mighty pace at the moment. He's going to go for it on Marshy, and Marshy has gone wide or narrow, rode the curb and has spun and is now dropped all the way down to 10th place. So it's unfortunate for Marshy. He's hoping maybe for a better start as Ozone is really struggling at the moment, but he's going to try and defend Kofi here, but gets on the power a little bit too early and has spun the car. So the tier 3 drivers definitely a lot of learning to do as they're not quite in control. Quattro, he's doing really well here. Couldn't set a lap in qualifying, but he's definitely setting some good times here in the race. He's up into P6. He's going to hope to chase down Kofi. Techno Sizzle's also going to try to get around the outside of Eric. Marshy behind him. These two are going to go side by side. Magnus is still going slow down there in sector 1 as we watch. There's a big gap from VTR Cunio all the way to Rando. Kofi seems to have some good pace as well in the McLaren. It looked like it could have been a completely different season for the McLarens this year. Kofi is in P5 and hoping maybe for a podium. He hasn't had a podium since his P3. Last time he finished was in Abu Dhabi, where he finished P7. So there's a lot to do for Kofi as he's gaining here on the Aston Martin of Cunio, as Marshy seems to have got by Eric, and Eric seems to have spun a little bit there. Marshy is still going to try it on Adgedox as well, and he's kept into P8, and Eric is now into the pits, possibly with wing damage. We're right on board with Rando, who's a lot closer to Douglas than he was in previous laps, plus DRS now has been enabled. He's going to get a nice tow of DRS, including DRS, all the way down the Wellington Straight, and both of them very similar ERS. So it means that he's going to have a really good straight line speed setup, which he does. He is gaining, he's gaining. Is he going to go for it? He is. He's going to lunge, he's going to bang win, and more than likely drop out of the podium places. And he's come out alongside Kofi, so these two are going to battle. Kofi's going to be able to get down the inside and ahead, which means Cunio is ahead. Shocks Marshy both have spun, as Ozone is going to try to go right around the outside of Adgedox. It's been a crazy race so far, and Ozone is up in the P10. As we watch here, there's a bit of a train from Rando all the way up, or from Techno Sizzle all the way up to Cunio. And Kofi is the one who can attack it, but he has very, very little ERS. The only person with a lot of ERS is Rando. But as we watch Kofi, he is gaining on Cunio, and he's going to head now down towards the Vale Chicane. Very trustworthy on the brakes, so he doesn't go straight into the rear end of Cunio. And luckily, well, unfortunately he's picked up a 3-second penalty, but luckily has kind of kept that gap in a really good position to possibly get ahead and into the podium places. But Cunio doing a good job on his official full-time debut. Obviously he did score last time out in Mexico. He picked up P8 for himself, which has him 17th in the standings, and he'd probably like to be a lot further than that. As we watch other people are struggling. I think that's Griffin down at turn 2, who's going very slow. Eric not getting off to the start he would have wanted. Obviously second in Mexico, but at the moment it's last of the current drivers here in Britain. So there's a good battle going on here between Ozone and Adgedox. But Kofi and Cunho is the one to watch. Both of them burning a lot of ERSs. Quattro has picked up the 3-second time penalty. Probably won't be his first or everyone's first of this race. 4 drivers have 3 seconds already, and I'm sure a lot more will as the race goes on. As we watch, Kofi still gaining, but not quite gaining enough as Rando is dropping off, and Quattro's teammate, who has rarely been around this season, is catching up to Rando a bit as well. Quattro, 1 minute 31, he has set the fastest lap of this race. His LOI Griffin has had a bit of a spin. He's practicing the no traction on the wheel, and it hasn't been going to plan so far. He's dropped down to P13. Kofi is still close to Cunho here, and he's gonna have another go at him now down the Wellington Straight. He's just really struggling as far as ERS and saving it. He's gonna have to save it a lot more. So the soft or the medium runners are gonna start to maybe feel the pressure of the tyre wear now as we head into lap 8. Griffin has picked up a penalty for speeding, and he has retired in the pit lane, so that's the end of the race for the Alpine driver. And we're down to only 13 remaining. Quattro and Ozone battling it out here as they head down towards Copse now, the old pit straight. And Ozone right in the back of him here. We're right on board as they head down into Copse. Ozone's going to pull to the inside, and like a Mercedes in 2021 is going to try go down the inside. Unlike Lewis Hamilton, he's left some space, and they're going to possibly battle now into Mags and Beckett's. And it looks like Quattro just has the better traction going through, but I think there's something happened to Quattro. Quattro spun out of Stowe, and he has dropped, and with wing damage as well, has dropped out of the podium places and is down to P6. Douglas takes the lead of the race. CES Eric also is retired in the pits. 12 runners left. As we watch the cars go through, Quattro had damage as well and didn't come into the pit lane, and it might not be the super result that he needs. He now has the 2 hard runners of Adgedox and Paolo behind. Both of them need to finish within 6 points and currently are. But at the moment, it's now Douglas leading the way and Cunho in second. Kofi's got himself into P3, but Rando is behind. Could possibly take that because of the penalties. And now it looks like Ozone continuing his battle here with Quattro. These two going well. Ozone's pushed him a little bit wide. Quattro's come back, and he's come back onto the track ahead, but Ozone's gone for the switcheroo now, and they're going to battle all the way down into Copse yet again. Ozone has the inside just like last time. Quattro on the outside. Quattro seems to have the better run, but Ozone isn't going to back out. Quattro comes straight across him, and Ozone has to yield, and Quattro will take the position for now. These two are having a phenomenal battle here for P9. Both of them, obviously, Ozone only practicing. He finished P3 in Mexico in Tier 3. He's going to hopefully finish a lot higher as well, as Quattro is into the pits. He's going to get on the hard tyres now. He's 16 laps on the hard tyres to do as we enter lap 10 now. And he also is going to have a front wing change, and it looks like Quattro is also into the pits, the Alpine driver. Whether or not he has to change the front wing or not, we don't know. He's in. No, he is in for a straight tyre swap. So Quattro. So that does really set it all up here, possibly for Adgedox and Paolo. My predictions are all going away now. I predicted Quattro to win. I think I still I've gone for Who did I go for? I went for Paolo second. And no, who did I go for second? I think I went for Douglas second and Paolo. So now Douglas is leading. And I'm still predicting Paolo to finish maybe second now. I don't know. My commentator's curse really is in full swing today. But the only battle that seems to be happening on track now, as the pit stop window opens, we'll see now. Douglas, is he going to be the first to bite? He isn't. VTR Cunha the same. Same with Kofi. Rando seems to be taking a different line. He is into the pits. Techno Sizzle stays out. Paolo isn't. Ajdox, he is probably not going to. And obviously Paolo wouldn't either on the heads. I'm guessing Ozone is going to try and cover Quattro. And I am correct in saying that because he is in as well. So Marshy, he has stayed out. And Quattro is... We'll see if he's going to be able to get ahead of Ozone or not. He's ahead of Quattro, but is he ahead of Ozone? More than likely will be, but we'll see. Kofi seems to be dropping off a bit to Cunha, and Rando's gone for that undercut. Comes out of the pits now. He comes out well ahead of Quattro. This pit lane's really, really slow, so more than likely Quattro will get ahead of the Mercedes of Ozone, and he's up in the P9, but still a long, long way away from the Ferrari of Rando. Ozone comes out in 11th, and he has Quattro in his wing mirrors. So the overcut has worked for the Mercedes driver, but Quattro will have the better heated tyres, and we'll see if Ozone's going to crumble under pressure or not. The only battle on track more than likely will be these two yet again. He's trying to get heat into those tyres. You can see him weaving away, but I think he has just done enough to keep the position. Douglas is in. Cunha takes the lead of the race. Kofi comes in as well. So too does Techno Sizzle, who crucially speeds in the pit lane. Paolo takes position. So too does Ajdox. More than likely we're going to also see Marshy into the pit lane. He's 6 seconds of penalties, and he's going to come in as well. More than likely comes out in possibly P9 or 10. He doesn't speed in the pit lane. So we'll see now whether or not the overcut will work for Cunha. He kept, I think, within a second of Douglas, so he's done a good job here, and it could really be a really good result for the Aston Martin debutant. Raced, I think, with Mercedes last week and put in a very solid P8 finish, and it'd be another shock if he manages to take home a race win. SJR and Ajdox, the only other two drivers apart from Quattro to take home a race win, and with how Quattro's race is going, it looks like it's not going to be another one, and his second half of the season isn't going as planned. More than likely this championship is going to go a little bit further, because look who's gone again. It is Quattro, and Magnus is going to have such a better run now down the Wellington Straight, but I think is just a bit too far behind. So Marshy's come out in last, obviously because of the long pit stop, so he's going to have a little bit more to do than he would have liked, but Magnus obviously still yet to pit. Cunha's in. Now Paolo will overtake because the hards go longer, same. But the real question is, will Douglas overtake or not? He's only starting his sector 3 now as Cunha has turned the corner of the pit lane. I think Cunha is going to take the lead here, and we'll have to see. He's in now. The tyres have been changed. He hasn't picked up a penalty, crucially, as well. And Douglas is only coming round the Vale chicane now. So we're going to keep an eye on Cunha. Obviously, Douglas needed to warm up the tyres. Cunha has got this spot on as his pit limiter has been released. And the Aston Martin driver is into a net lead of this race. But Cunha, or Douglas, is right on the back of him. And Cunha is on really, really old tyres. And we know how easy it is to overtake on this straight. I have been a victim of it before, and it looks like Cunha may be too. Douglas is really close to him. Not within the DRS, but he should be able to possibly get by. He's going to have to do it quick before the tyres are heated up. He is right alongside here. Can he get it done? Cunha's just going to try and get some temperature into those tyres so he can put up a defence. But Douglas seems to be too quick for him, and the Red Bull driver is right on the back of him. Is he going to go for it into Copse? Cunha seems to have the pace. The tyres seem to be getting heated up now, but Douglas is going to see that flashing red light on the back and is possibly going to be able to get a move done. He'll have DRS now as they head down towards Stowe. It's Douglas against Cunha on the run now down to Stowe. He is DRS enabled all the way down the back straight. Is he going to get it done? He's going to pull to the inside. Cunha, lay on the brakes, is going to keep the position. So Cunha is essentially in the lead of the race now. Ajdux, he has 16 seconds. He has to go 12 more laps. But if a safety car comes out between there and then it's not going to be Ajdux to win this race. But it could be another win for him if that doesn't happen. SLR Quattro, 10 seconds off Techno Sizzle, means that he probably won't get this win done today, unfortunately. We'll see now, because Alex Paulo still has to pit. He's been on the hards for a while. He'll come out approximately in P6 or P7. Ajdux has pitted and he has changed compound. He has to hope there's no safety car and he can stay a second ahead each lap, but those tyres are going to get worn and he's going to have to whisper them to make sure that they don't get a puncture come the end of the race. But Douglas, he wants what is essentially a net P1, and that's to Magnus, who's gone off there at sector 1 and into the barriers. Not quite been a race for him. He has struggled at times this season. Looking at the tier 3 standings, he has picked up I think he's picked up 1 podium this season for Aston Martin in Portugal, but with the race ban in Netherlands, the disqualification in France from when he got the podium there, P5 in Abu Dhabi, didn't race in Singapore. I don't know where he finished in Mexico. I think he DNF'd early on there as well. Paolo's in, and he is going to come out in P7. But yet again, as we look, it's Techno Sizzle is going to be quick. He's going to be right on the back of Paolo here and on a lot fresher softs as Quattro comes into the pits and retires. So he has finished his battle with Ozone and he will not be scoring any points and will remain bottom of the standings. So Paolo is right on the back of Techno Sizzle, who got by him there down the Wellington Straight. He wants to hopefully maybe get by again, but it's going to be tough. Ajdux has the lead of the race still in P1, and he's still kept that 16-second gap, and he has had a fantastic end to the season. If he keeps up pace like this, he could be on for a possible title. Maybe not this season, but next season. Obviously finished P4 in Abu Dhabi, and unfortunately DNF'd in Monaco, but finished first last race and is a lot closer to finishing this race. But he's not going to finish this race. He's going to come into the pits, which means Cunha, instead of it net P1, it is P1. Ajdux doesn't think he can whisper these tyres all the way down to the end of the race. He's come on for mediums for the last 10 laps of this race and will come out in the battle with Techno and Paolo, maybe just a bit behind. So that may be a good call for Quattro, because now he is, well, probably not going to be overtaking them and get his championship today, but he's going to do enough to make it a lot easier into Imola next week. We have Cunha leading the way from Douglas, 10 laps to go. Can he keep it is the question. He is doing well, but Douglas is building up a fair bit of ERS, and Rando's doing his job and staying within Kofi's 3 seconds, and he's going to pick up a penalty if it stays like that. As far as penalties go, Techno Sizzle has 5 for speeding in the pit lane. Ozone has 3. Marshy has unfortunately picked up 9. He's going to have to improve on that if he wants to score points. If he wants to win the race on Wednesday night. And then we have 2 Magnus with also 3 seconds of penalties. As far as predicted driver of the day, it's probably going to be Cunha, who's gone from P14 all the way to P1, 13 places, and Douglas has gone 2, Kofi has gone 9, which is also a very good drive. A lot of shocks obviously with Oven Curry, Jinx and Rayan all DNFing, dropping load of places. We have Marshy who's gone up 5, a good race so far from him. Magnus up 6, Ozone up 7, Alex Paolo done a good job, he's got up 5. Rando and Techno Sizzle has equally got up 2. Ajdox has remained in his current quali place, and Quattro, who is the only current driver who has lost a lot of places, he is in P6. The only driver on a 2-stop is Ajdox, who has stopped for hard on lap 2 and has just last lap there, as Techno Sizzles picked up a time penalty, which means that SLR Quattro more than likely will pick up P7. Douglas getting closer to Cunha. He is playing a very smart game, Douglas. He's staying within a good bit of DRS, and he can see that red light always flashing from Cunha, meaning that eventually, when he feels he's enough ERS and enough time, he will fly. Snap of oversteer, that's not going to help. He's out of the DRS now. Kofi's right on the back of him. We'll watch them battle now on the run down in towards turn 1, as Cunha has picked up a 3-second penalty, and that's not going to help his possible first race win. He's going to drop not only behind Douglas, but I think he may drop also behind Rando. So that means he's going to have to pull away further than 1 second and hope that Kofi does him a fair trade and battle with Douglas. But Douglas has a fair share of ERS, which he's finally only starting to burn to try and stay ahead of Kofi and hopefully get back up to Cunha. So that one little mistake from Douglas has cost him a lot, because now what looked to have been a fairly good bit of ERS to stay within Cunha and also possibly line up a move later into the race means that he has to burn more. And also, not only does he have to burn more, but he has to try and get back within the 1 second range for DRS. And now both of them have very similar ERS. The person with the most ERS out of the 3 of them now somehow is Kofi. So if Douglas picks up a penalty, I think someone like Rando could be licking his lips for his possible second RSL race win. And this obviously including when the race was called CTCR. These 4 and 5, if you include Paolo, they're all technically battling for their first RSL win. But as far as first win in RSL as a whole, we have Cunha, we have Kofi, and that's pretty much it. The other 2 have won a race, obviously Douglas Miami Season 3, Rando Australia Season 3. Kofi, I suppose, won the first round of this race, but with his 12 seconds of penalty that made him drop back to P3, and he's looking like he could be on for another podium if he keeps up the pace. McLaren are desperately needed one. Oven Curry maybe thought he could have been in for a first win in Abu Dhabi if he wasn't possibly taken out by Quattro. He seemed to have the pace anyway, even with his time penalty that he received 10 seconds for. He dropped down. He didn't only drop down to didn't drop down at all, but he dropped down to within a few tenths of Oven Curry, who barely missed out. He today has missed out hugely on another chance to a podium, finishing 19th. But we have 11 runners left here and only a few more laps to go as we reach 8:45 here on this Monday evening. And it's definitely going to be a good Monday evening for one of these 3. Kofi's missed his braking zone. He's gone into Douglas. Oh no. And Douglas has gone straight over the curb, and he will definitely be in the reported incident after that. And Kofi could be in a lot of trouble. He's missed his braking zone, very similar to what Quattro done to his teammate in Abu Dhabi, and more than likely will pick up a 10-second time penalty for that. But Douglas, he won't care, because he had a potential win on today, which has been thrown away from what is a very, very stupid incident. But again now, Rando, he's thinking this is it now. The only two drivers ahead of him have time penalties, but VTR Cunha is more than 3 seconds ahead. He has 6 laps to stay 3 seconds ahead, and he has a first race win of his RSL career. He only left the server a few days ago, and I've got him back in with an opportunity of a full-time seat. He took that up immediately and has impressed me a load in his first race. As far as his pace, well, it has been solid. Don't know if it's going to be enough for Tier 1 next year, but we'll see what he can do in the final 3 races after this. This first race, well, P8 in Mexico, and it's looking like it's P1 here today, if he can keep his composure. But Rando is going to do everything in his power to get closer to Kofi and take home his second RSL victory of his career. But everything, the pressure is all in Cunha's hands at the moment, and Kofi may do him a bit of help in trying to hold him off. That's Ajdox who spun. So there it goes. Ajdox has been overtaken by Quattro, and Paolo, I think, is the only guy left in this championship battle. But I don't think he's done enough either. We'll have to see. Ajdox needs to stay in P8, only 2 points behind, in order to bring this to Imola. So he is just over 3 seconds. We'll keep an eye on gap to leader, because that's the one that is important. He is just over 3 seconds at the moment, Rando. He needs to stay 3 seconds, or he needs to get in and under 3 seconds in order to take home the race win. And we'll ride on board with the Ferrari driver on his final 5 laps of this race. He's only reserving at the moment. There's a potential of maybe just going full time for the final few races for him. He's had a few good results over the season, and I'd say he will probably put himself up into the top 10 definitely with these results that he has put in. He loves the Silverstone race, and he is hoping that he doesn't do what he done. Looking at the comment section, seems to be going very, very quiet. We have 14 viewers, but nobody really seemed to have any sort of opinion on the race. So Rando still 3 seconds and a little bit more behind Cunha, and is also crucially 1.5 seconds behind Kofi. So maybe those 11 lap old tyres are not going to be doing him any favour that Cunha's 9 lap olds are doing for him. We'll see, because Kofi's also gaining, and although he has this it's going to be a 10-second time penalty for missing his braking zone and taking out another driver. It means that even if he does get the race win on track, it probably will be taken away. But Cunha, obviously he doesn't know that unless he has an engineer listening in the party and telling him all this. But he still has to keep up the pace. Just like me yesterday in my Mexico race, I had a penalty, I had to keep up pace, I had to stay ahead for 3 seconds because there was guys behind without penalties that I had to get ahead of. I done it. We'll see if Cunha can do it as he enters his 4th last lap of this race. 4 more to go. Cunha, you can do this. Techno Sizzle's getting on the back of Douglas here. He's having a race to forget after what could have been a race to remember. But Techno Sizzle, who barely has a race to remember from his attendance records, is hoping that that changes and he can maybe put himself up into the top 5. His 11 seconds of penalties though means he'll probably drop down to P8. We'll see now what the AlphaTauri driver can do. Magnus is a beast. We'll see. Being 19 seconds and almost lapped by the cars behind isn't quite a beast trait for me, but we'll see what he can do. Marshy has put on the soft tyres and going for a fastest lap, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get it. He's into the pits again though, and I think he's going to go on for more soft tyres. He's sped in the pit lane. Don't think he'll retire now. He'll probably try and finish the race. See now, Cunio stays within that 3 seconds gap for now, and what was 4 laps is now going to turn as Magnus gets out of the way from him. Luckily there's ghosting on, so he shouldn't be a problem anymore. Still has to get out of the way obviously, but it's getting a little bit closer now. So Marshy's come out in 11th, and I think he's going to gamble that, well, I think Magnus with his 17 seconds of penalty, oh no, Marshy actually has more. So Marshy has a fair bit of work to do here in the final few laps in order to get a point, and in order to get 2 points here for Red Bull. Marshy doesn't even seem to be racing at the moment, he's commenting in the chat. So Cunio still has the advantage as Adstox picks up another penalty here. Surprised nobody came into the pits there for tyres. If I'm looking at, well, Ozone did, but now I'm looking at Adstox. If he comes in this lap, obviously he'll lose out though because of Techno Sizzle, and Techno Sizzle is spun, so it doesn't matter, he won't lose out anyway because Techno's spun. And we now only have 3 laps remaining. Gap still 3.7. Still also good for Cunio, but Rando, you can see he's building a fair share of ERS here, and maybe for the final few laps he's going to put his power down and he is going to absolutely fire ahead of these guys. He's going to have to do a lot though if he's going to be able to do that. Obviously he doesn't want to spin into turn 1, as I mentioned before, like he did in the League of Ireland. I'm sure he'll be cautious about that, and I'm sure when he goes through turn 1 his PTSD means that he'll probably lift. Nope, he goes flat. So he doesn't mind taking a risk for a win here. He's done it before and he will do it again. He's won a race on penalties before. He wouldn't mind doing it again, but now that gap has gone from 3 to 4, so he has a second to gain on him now, and could possibly, if he's not careful, drop out of the gap from Kofi. Cunio himself is probably going to see Kofi in his mirrors, maybe start to worry a little bit, but realistically both of them need to look in their mirrors and see Rando and say, well, I want a podium, you want a podium. I say we just both take a podium each, and we'll see what happens after that. Paolo is also closing in with his obviously better compound tyre on Rando, and is putting a bit of pressure on himself, which has been all good for Cunio. Now Adstox is battling. It's P1 versus P2 here. I don't think it'll be P1 for or P2 for long for Adstox, considering this result. But Quattro is going to be another race with him out, not on the podium. It's his longest run without a podium. Well, his only run without a podium. Every race he's raced in, other than Mexico in this race, has been a podium. But both of them battle, and it's just going to come to nothing. We'll switch now here to Kofi and Cunio, because both of them are going to have just maybe a little battle here on the final lap before it's possibly Cunio's first win here. He's going to have, I think, just a bit bigger of a gap, as it looks like Techno Sizzle has spun here. Kofi still too far away. We'll switch to the battle with Adstox and Quattro. Adstox right in the back of Quattro here, with DRS now enabled. Quattro with a lot more ERS though, and Adstox is just going to take his time on this. We'll switch back to the Kofi VTR Cunio battle. It doesn't look like it's going to be at all any match for Kofi. Seems to be falling further and further away. Adstox continues to battle with Quattro. These two having a really good battle, as it looks like Marshy has fallen and fallen. He's going to fall even further out of the points with his 20 seconds of penalties. But we'll switch back to Kofi and Cunha for the final time this race. Kofi seems to be too far away, and Cunha is going to go through Stowe now and head towards the final chicane. And for the second time this season, and for the first time in his RSL career, VTR Cunha comes to the final lap of Britain, and he's going to win the British Grand Prix. Kofi finishes in second, and Alex Paolo does get by Rando, who spun on the final chicane, and he will pick up the podium that I predicted. Rando 5th, Douglas 6th, Cunha or Quattro is going to pick up 6th, with Adgedox in 7th. 2 Magnus picks up 10, a solid point for Alfa Romeo, and I'm sure they'll be quite happy with that. Techno Sizzle is going to finish in 8th for AlphaTauri, and Ozone, we have to wait a long way before he finishes his race, and while we wait for that, I suppose we might as well get the race director up in case that fails back in the lobby. Fair play to Cunha. That was an astonishing race, and he has won his first ever RSL race. Very, very well done. Right on board here in his cool down lap. I'm sure if he has a TikTok account, he might like to see some of this. But a brilliant drive and a well-deserved win, and also a well-deserved driver of the day. Well, Adgedox has picked up the driver of the day, according to the race, but more than likely it definitely is going to Cunha. Very solid performance from Kofi, although that P2 may be taken away from him with the incident with Douglas. We'll find out about that. But it's Cunha to win his first race of his career. And he'll be celebrating that definitely for the rest of the night. So, we'll say it again. VTR Cunha race. Kofi finishes P2. We'll see after a steward's investigation whether he keeps that or not. Alex Paolo will finish in P3 with Rando in 4th. He looked like he could have had a race win, and unfortunately is not even on the podium at the moment. Douglas finishes in P5 with SLR Quattro in 6th. Adgedox finishes in 7th. Techno Sizzle finishes in 8th. Ozone Yo in 9th. 2 Magnus 10th. Marshy finishes 11th. Quattro in 12th. LOI Griffin 13th, and CES Eric in 14th. Back to Spawn You Go finishes 15th. Jinx 16th. Rayan 17th. JRR 18th, and Oven Curry 19th. Them four never even set a lap, and Back to Spawn unfortunately retired under safety car. It's been a fucking incredible race here in the British Grand Prix. I hope to see the same in Imola. The championship run continues. It's not going to be party celebrations for Quattro yet. He's going to have to wait at least one more week. But until then, we will see you on Wednesday night. It won't be me. I hope I will find somebody for the commentary. But we'll see you then. Goodbye.